finally. Let's set up. Alright. So, hope y'all are having a good night. Or whatever time it is, wherever you are. I'll just make sure that I'm live everywhere. Should be. You know how that goes. I'm not sure which mic is actually going in. Hold on. That might be better. You guys hear me? Finally got live. That was a pain. Alright. So this is definitely different, just so you know. If you don't like hearing someone read to you an adult story, then go ahead and click off, because that's what I'm doing. And it's an old school, old school adult story called Lorna Dune by R.D. Blackmore. So go ahead and get comfy and get you something to drink, something to snack on. This will most likely take several episodes. I don't think I'll be able to read this whole book tonight because it's got a lot of pages, but I'll try my best. And I will show you the pictures when they come up. There are a few illustrations. But again, this is a very, very, very old book. I don't know if you can see how old this is. I think it does. I don't even know if it has like a publication date. Usually, oh, it was printed in Great Britain. That's pretty cool. Trying to see what date this was written. The pages are so like thin. Let's see. I'm telling you, each book has its own scent. Yes, this does talk about sex, so that's why I am posting this as 18 plus. Not like there's not sex in everything nowadays. I don't see why it would even be an 18 plus thing, because there's sex in just about every single thing that's out there. So, I don't know. It doesn't have a publication date. Okay. Alright. This thing's about 300 pages long. It might take more than one session. So, I guess I'll have a part 2. These are not mine, just so you know. Because I'm old. And blind. Old and blind. Alright. Hope you guys are ready. Let's see. Preface. This work is called a romance because of the incidents, characters, time, and scenery are all romantic. And in shaping this old tale, the writer neither dares nor desires to claim for it the dignity or cumber it with the difficulty of an historic novel. And yet he thinks that the outlines are filled in more carefully, and the situations, however simple, more warmly colored and quickened, than a reader would expect to find in what is called a legend. and he knows that any son of Examore, chancing on this volume, cannot fail to bring to mind the nurse tales of his childhood, the savage deeds of the outlaw Dunes in the depths of Bagworthy Forest, the beauty of the hapless maid brought up in the midst of them, the plain John Rid Herculean power, and the memories to congenial food, the exploits of Tom Fagas. Hey, Morris. I can't see the chat. Hey, Master Jam. How are you? Okay, this lamp is in like the complete wrong spot because I legit can't see the stream chat. I hope you enjoy like old school reading. If you're new to my channel, yes, I am Variety AF. I don't even know what I'm gonna do half the time. So yeah. Hope you had a good day in class. Alright, so I just read the preface for the book Lorna Dune. Lorna Dune. It was written by R.D. Blackmore. And I don't know what year, because it doesn't say. But it was printed in Great Britain. So, chapter 1. You're waving hello, huh, Morris? Well, hello. Hello, darling. Hello. Oh, hey! Hey, cutie. How are you? I hope you enjoyed this story tonight. Yay! It might take a couple. I'm serious. This is like ridiculous amount of pages. This is the first book that I have actually read since 6th grade. And it's got like almost 700 pages. 640 pages to be exact. So yeah, it might take me a couple of bedtime story sessions. So don't expect to get to the end in this one, assumably 2-hour session. Lorna Dunes are also cookies. I want to make some Lorna Dunes after this. I don't know. It depends. I don't know if I like her or not. Let me get to the story. I don't know. Like I get these characters, and I don't know if I like them in the movies or whatever until like I get a little bit further, and I kind of want to get a feel for them, see if I like them or not. Are they popular cookies? Like what kind are they? Lorna Dunes. That sounds familiar, actually. When I picked this book up, I was like looking through the books in the hallway, and I was like, "This looks interesting." It was very old school, and like I found this little lamp thing. You never know what you're gonna find in this house. Um, literally. So I don't know. I figured it would go with the ambiance of the evening. I told you I got multiple personality disorder or something like that. I don't know. I haven't been officially like diagnosed yet, but I have a feeling it'll probably be close or borderline. And nothing against people who are. You know me. I have no hate, no judgment. Okay. I think it would be good to. Let's see. Okay. I kind of wish I had a little bit more light in here. Not like everybody's not been saying that this entire time. Hope y'all have had a good day. I'm like trying to decide which way I want to go because this is like reading glasses. So, anyways, all right. Let's see if I can get this book in the picture too. All right. So, if anyone cares, okay. So, chapter 1, elements of education. I feel like a teacher. It's weird. All right. If anyone cares to read a simple tale told simply, I, John Ridd, of the parish of Orr, in the county of Somerset, yeoman and churchwarden, have seen and had a share in some doings of this neighborhood, which I will try to set down in order, God sparing my life and memory, and they who light upon this book should bear in mind not only that I write for the clearing of our parish from ill fame and calumny, bear with you, I'm horrible at reading, but also a thing which I will, there's no light in here, which I will, okay, I trow appear too often in it, to wit that I am nothing more than a plain unlettered man, not read in foreign languages, as a gentleman might be, nor gifted with the long words, even in mine own tongue, save that I may be one from the Bible or Master William Shakespeare, whom in the face of common opinion I do value highly, I myself. Thank you. It's actually a nightgown. But it's too short because I like put it in the dryer and I'm not really smart on like fancy things. So it shrunk. Either that or I got bigger. Either way. So yeah. Alright. So that's my fault. Master William Shakespeare on face and common I do value highly. Okay. In short, I am an ignoramus, but pretty well for a yeoman. And it's Yeoman. So yeoman. I'm just gonna say yeoman. Thank you. Thank you, Morris. It's your bestie. Colin. Hey. Oh, I gotta give you like a little bit heads up. Time out for a second. When I tried to go live for Workout Wednesday, my phone had me re-download Twitch, right? Or not Twitch. Yeah, Twitch. I think either Streamlabs or Twitch. I can't remember. Either way, so it tried to make me re-download it, right? It made me delete a bunch of stuff to do it, and my dumbass evidently didn't unclick it. It deleted my Snapchat. So don't get mad at me. Hopefully I can get it unlocked soon. Because as of right now, it's locked and I'm pissed. But whatever. Worst case scenario, I'll make a new one and I'll share it with you guys and all my social media. So just a heads up for those of you who are on my Snapchat, it doesn't exist anymore. Because I'm an idiot and I deleted it. Yeah. Told you I'm not good with electronics. Yes, I'm not ignoring you. I legitimately somehow deleted my freaking Snapchat earlier, and now it won't let me back in. It says I'm like permanently locked, so I have to like do like the whole thing with Snapchat corporate. Blah, blah, blah. Worst case scenario, I'll just make another one. Not a big deal. So, on to the next paragraph. All right. I'm trying to figure out like the angle that I want to go with this because I can hardly see it. All right. My father being of good substance, at least as we reckon in Exmoor, and I'm probably saying this, Exmoor, 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 and seized in his own right, from many generations, of one that is the best and largest of the three farms unto which our parish is divided, or rather the cultured part thereof. He, John Ridd, the elder, churchwarden and overseer, being the great admirer of learning, and well able to write his name, sent me his only son to be schooled at Tiverton, in the county of Devon, for the chief boast that the ancient town, trying to double check, make sure nothing missed is, the chief boast, ancient town, next to its woolen staple, for a worthy grammar school, the largest in the west of England, founded and handsomely endowed in the year of 1604 by Master Peter Blundell, that at the same place clothier. Here by the name I was 12 years old. I had risen into the upper school, and could make bold with, I'm probably going to say this name wrong, Eutropy, IUS, Eutropius, Eutropius, and Caesar. By aid, I'm sorry if I said that name wrong. If you know how to say it, please let me know. Um, all right. Um, and Caesar, by aid of the English version, and as such as 6 lines of Ovid. Some even said that I might, before manhood, rise almost to the third form, being of a persevering nature, albeit, by full consent of all, except by mother, thick-headed. That would have that would have been, as I now perceive, an ambition beyond the farmer's son. Most likely. All right. Okay. Beyond the farmer's son. For there is but one form above it, and that made a masterful scholar, entitled rightly monitors. So it came to pass by the grace of God that was called away from learning whilst sitting at the desk of a junior first in the upper school, and the beginning of the Greek verb. It's in Greek. I can't read it. Looks like TU pi TW. I don't know. If you know Greek, let me know. But yeah, it's TU with the little thingy on it, and pi, literally T and W, or what looks like a W. Yeah, it's W. So if you know Greek, that's what it looks like. All right. My eldest grandson makes bold to say that I never could have learned. I really wish I had known about this book beforehand. It's literally got Greek words in it, and I can't read it. Like, legit, not even a joke. I can't even turn it backwards because the book is so old. Can you see where like it says the Greek words? I think it's right here. And then there's another one somewhere right here. If you know Greek, be more than happy to translate that for me because I don't know Greek. I don't know Greek either. All right. This is what I get for picking a book off the shelf. Hey, I mean, you never know. This is the whole point in life is to learn, right? So now I'll have to like look these words up and try to figure them out later on. Either way, that's kind of fun in a way, but it aggravates me to not know what these words are right now. Ah, this stuff is making my face itch. Okay, let me turn this heater away. All right. My eldest grandson makes bold to say that I could have never learned random Greek word 10 pages further on, being all he himself could manage, with plenty of stripes to help him. I know that he hath more head than I, though never will he have such body, and am thankful to have stopped betimes with a meek and wholesome headpiece. But if you doubt on of having been there, because now I know so little, go and see my name, John Ridd, graven in that very form. Forsooth, from the time that I was strong enough to open a knife and to spell my name, I began to grave it in the oak, first of the block whereon I sat, and then on the desk in front of it, according as I was promoted from one to the other of them. There my grandson reads it now, at this present time of writing, and hath fought a boy for scoffing at it. John Ridd his name, and done again in Winkies, a mischievous and cheerful device, in which we took great pleasure. Winkies. It's like jinkies, right? I don't know what Winkies means, but you're gonna have to look that up too. I think this book was written like way before, like a long time ago. So, this in the matter of a Winky, which I here set down, lest child of mine or grandchild dare to make one on my premises. If he does, I shall know the mark at once, and score it well upon him. The scholar obtains by prayer or price a handful of saltpetre, and then with the knife wherewith he should rather be trying to mend his pens, what does he do but scoop a hole where the desk is some 3 inches thick? This hole should be left with the middle exalted, with the circumference dug more deeply. Then let him fill it with saltpetre, all saved but a little space in the midst, where the boss of the wood is. Upon that boss, and it will be the better of a splinter of timber rise upward, he sticks to end the candle of tallow, or rat's tail, as we call it, kindled and burning smoothly. Anon as he reads by the light of his lessons, lifting his eyes now, and it may be, a fire of candle lays a hold of the peter with a sputtering noise and a leaping. Then should the pupil seize his pen, and regardless of the nib, stir bravely, and he will see a glow as if burning mountains, and a rich smoke, and sparks going merrily. Nor it will cease, if he stir wisely, and there be good store of the peter, or maybe petre, I don't know. Filling holes with peters, getting more interesting now. until until the wood is devoured through, like the sinking of a well shaft. Now well may it go to the head of a boy intent upon his primer, who betides to sit thereunder. I but above all things have good care to exercise this art before the master strides up to his desk, in the early grey of morning. Other customs no less worthy abide in the school of Blundell, such as the singing of nightcaps, but though they have a pleasant savour, and are refreshing to think of, I may not stop to note them, unless it be that goodly one at the incoming of a flood. Salty Peter too. Alright. The schoolhouse stands beside a stream, not very large, called Lowman, which flows into the broad river of X, or Exe, about a mile below. This Lowman stream, although it be not found fond of brawl and violence in the manner of our Lynn, Lynn, yet it wont to flood unto a mighty head of waters when storms of rain provoke it, and most of all when its little co-mate, called the Taunton Brook, where I have plucked the very best cresses that ever man put salt on, comes foaming down like a great roan horse, and rears at the leap of the hedgerows. Then are the grey stone walls of Blundell on every side encompassed. The vale is spread over with looping waters, and it is a hard thing for the day boys to get home to their suppers. And in that time old Cop, the porter, so called because he hath copper boots to keep the wet from his stomach, and nose of copper also, in right of the other waters. His place is to stand at the gate, attending to the flood boards grooved into one another, and so to watch the torrents rise, but not be washed away. If it please God, he may help it. But long ere the flood had attained his height, and while it only waxing, certain boys of deputy will watch at the stoop of the drain holes, and be apt to look outside the walls when Cop is taking cordial. The French Broad River runs north of and through Asheville, and it is very fun to raft down. That's good to know, Morris. Didn't know that. I've never been rafted. I'm always burned too quickly. Fair skin. Gotta love it. And in the very front of the gate, just without the archway, where the ground is paved most handsomely, you may see in copy letters done a great PB of white pebbles. Now it is custom and the law that when invading waters, either fluxing along the wall from below the road bridge or pouring sharply across the meadows from a cut called Owen's Ditch, and I myself have seen it come both ways, upon the very instant when the waxing element lifts through it but a single pebble of the founder's letters, it is the license of any boy, whosoever small. Oh, that's cool. Oops, somehow I missed this page. Yeah, this is gonna take me forever. Just let me Sorry, I'm still kind of recovering from COVID. So ever small and unindoctrined, to rush to the great schoolrooms, where a score of masters sit heavily and scream at the top of his voice, "PB!" Then with a yell the boys leap up and break away from their standings. They toss their caps to the black-beamed roof, and happily the very brooks after them. The very books after them. I apologize. And the great boys vex no more. The small ones and the small boys stick up to the great ones. One with another hard they go to see the gain of the waters, and the tribulation of Cop, where the prone to kick the day boys out with words of scanty compliment. When the masters look at one another, having no class to look to, and the boys being no more left to watch, in a manner they put their mouths up. With a spirited bang they close their books, and make invitation to one another for pipes and foreign cordials, recommending the chance of time, and the comfort away from the cold water. Oh, that sounds so good right now. Last time I rafted down it, they had hot chocolate with peppermint schnapps waiting for us. Good times. That's awesome. That actually sounds really good. I am waiting for my hot cocoa to chill out for a little bit. It might be too hot. I'm not sure. Definitely not too hot, but I definitely need to mix it because it's like all the chocolate's on top. All right. I always end up losing my spot. I hate that. We're just going to compliment. Cold water. Okay. But lo, I am dwelling on the little things and the pigeons' eggs of the infancy, forgetting the bitter and heavy life gone over me since then. If I am neither a hard man, not a very close one, God knows I have no lack of rubbing and pounding to make the stone of me. Yet can I not somehow believe that we are ought to hate one another, to live far asunder, and block the mouth of each of his little den, as do the wild beasts of the wood, and the hairy outrangs now brought over, each with a chain upon him? Let that matter be as it will. It is beyond me to unfold, and mayhap of my grandson's grandson. All I know is that wheat is better when I began to sow it. No. Yay! Chapter 2. How far are we? Oh, it took me 30 minutes to read the first chapter. That's good. I did stop a couple times, so I'll try not to too much. I hope you're enjoying it so far. It is a little old, but I think you pretty much keep up with it for the most part. I mean, it's got a lot of extra words in it, I think, but that's how writing was back then, I believe. All right, so chapter 2, an important item. Now the cause of my leaving Tiverton School and the way of it were as follows on the 29th day of November in the year of our Lord's 1673. The very day when I was 12 years old, and I had spent all my substance in sweetmeats, with which I made treat to the little boys, till the large boys ran in and took them. We came out of school at 5 o'clock, as is the rule upon Tuesdays. 5 o'clock. I wish they would go to 5 o'clock. Shoot. According to custom, we drove the day boys in brave down, route down the causeway from the school perch even to where the gate where Cop had dwelling and duty. Little it reckoned us, and helped them less, that they were our founder's citizens, and happily his own grand-nephews, for he left no direct descendants. Neither did we much inquire what their lineage was, for it had long been fixed among us, who were of the houses and chambers, that, that these day boys were all caddles, cads, I'm sorry, caddes, as we had discovered to call it, because they paid no groat for their schooling, and bought their own commons with them. In consumption of these we would help them, for our fare in hall fed appetite, and while we ate their victuals we allowed them freely to talk to us. Nevertheless we could not feel, when all the victuals were gone, but that these boys required kicking from the premises of London. And some of these were shopkeepers' sons, young grocers, fellmongers, and poulterers, and these, to their credit, seemed to know how righteous it was to kick them. But others were of high family, as need be, in Devon, Carews, and Busheers, and bastards, and some of these would turn sometimes and strike the boy that kicked them. But to do them justice, even these knew that they must be kicked for not paying. After these charity boys were gone, and in the consummity, we called them. If you break my bag on my head, said one, how will feed thence how will feed thence tomorrow? And after old Cop with clang and iron had jammed, and double gated in under the scuff stone archway, upon there are Latin verses done in brass of small quality. Some of us who were not hungry, and cared not for the supper bell, having supped much parliament and dumps at my only charges, not that I ever bore much wealth, but because I had been thrifting it for this time of my birth. We were leaning quite at dusk against the iron quiet. No, it says quite. Quite. Y'all need to learn how to spell quiet. So does he, really. Quite. We were sitting quite. I guess it's a way of saying it. Oh no, I'm sorry. We were leaning quite at dawn, at dusk, against the iron bars of the gate. Some 6 or maybe even 7 of us, small boys all, and not conspicuous in the closing of the daylight and the fog that came at eventide. You're gonna start calling people day boys? Hey yo, Death Adder. Hey. Let's go take a shower. What? I already took my shower. Well, hello there, madam. Would you like? I'm not reading that. Anyway, all right. Now you done made me mess up. hungry. Something about birth. Small boys. Cops. Okay. Daylight fog came at eventide, else Cop would have raided us up the green, for he was churly to little boys when his wife had taken their money. Ew. There was plenty of room for all of us, for the gate will hold 9 boys, close packed, unless they be fed rankly, whereof is little danger. And now we are looking out on the road, wishing we could get there, hoping, moreover, to see a good string of pack horses come by, with troopers to protect them. For the day boys had brought us word that some intending their way to the town had lain that morning at Sanford Peveril. I don't know, Peveril. Peveril? You read my bio. You're a 36-year-old named Chad. 6 kids. That's a lot of babies. Yes, it is. You should be sorry. Pouty face. Okay. So, if you hear me randomly talking, if you're just listening, it's because I'm responding to messages. That's why. I'm getting messages from all over, so. Um, I'm live streaming to Twitch, Facebook, YouTube right now. So I'm trying to see the messages, and they're like behind this candle thing. So I'm gonna speed this over just a little bit. Let me see. Okay. Difficulties. Where was I? All right. Here's the other face. What's a message? Or what's a massage? I can't read it. I don't know. Just run with that. All right. Peveril. I'm just going to go with that. And must be in ere nightfall, because Mr. Fagus was after them. Now, Mr. Fagus was my first cousin, and in honor to the family, being a North Molton man of great renown on highway from Birmingham town, even to London. Therefore, of course, I hoped that he would catch the packman. Hey, packman. Packmen. Sorry. And the boys were asking my opinion as of an oracle about it. A certain boy leaning up against me would not allow my elbow room and struck me very sadly in the stomach part, though his known was full of my parliament, and this I felt so unkindly that I smote him straightway in the face without tarrying to consider it, or weighing the question duly. Upon this he put his head down, and presented it so vehemently that the middle of my waistcoat, that for a minute or more my breath seemed dropped as if it were from my pockets, and my life seemed to stop from great want of ease. Before I came to myself again, it had been settled for us that we should move to the ironing box, I apologize, as the triangle of turf is called where two causeways coming from the school porch and that hale porch meet, and our fight are mainly celebrated. Only we must wait until the convoy of horses had passed, and then we make a ring by candlelight. The other boys would like it. But suddenly they came round to the post where the letters of our founders are, not from the way of the Taunton, but from the side of the Lowman Bridge. The very a very small string of horses, only 2 indeed, counting for one the pony, and a red-faced man in the bigger nag. "Plaise ye, worshipful masters," he said, being feared of the gateway. Oh my gosh, I can't even say this. Carnatal were our John Ridby. Carnatal. Okay, so it's Irish, I guess. I don't know. Being feared of the gateway, can you tell where John Ridby? Here you be, ace fi. John Ridd, answered a sharp little chap, making game of John Fry's language. Shown 'em up, then. Shown 'em up, then, says John Fry, poking his whip through the bars at us. Shown 'em up and put 'em out. And literally, it's spelled just like I just said. ZHOWUNUP and PUTTUNAOWT. Shown 'em up and put 'em out. This is a trip. It goes from Greek, Latin, sounding Irish. I don't know. The little chap. I don't know. This may become my favorite book. I don't know. The other little chaps pointed at me, and some began to hollow. And I knew that I was about. Oh, John, John, I cried. And what's the use of your coming now? And Peggy, over the moors, too, and so cruel cold for her. The holidays don't begin until Wednesday fortnight, John. Fortnight? Hey! Fortnight was in a book a long time ago, just so you know. Fortnight was actually it's just a word. To think of your not knowing that if I, John Fry, leaned forward in the saddle and turned his eyes away from me, and then there was a noise in his throat like a snail crawling on a window pane. I think I found my new favorite line in this book. John Fry leaned forward in the saddle and turned his eyes away from me, and then there was a noise in his throat like a snail crawling on a window pane. Wow. Okay. Hey. I don't know. That's pretty good. All right. Oh, us gnaws that wool through, Master Jane. Reckon every o'er man know that, without go to school like you doth. Your mother had kept her apples up, and old Betty torn the black puddings, and none dare set trap for a blackbird. Arl for thee, lad, every bit of it now for thee. He checked himself suddenly and frightened me. I knew that John Fry's way so well. And father, oh, how is father? I pushed the boys right and left as I said it. John, is father up in the town? He always used to come for me, and leave nobody else to it. Buyer there'll be at the Crooked Boast, nor Zider telling house. Her couldn't live. Her couldn't live over ooze by racing of the Christmas bacon coming on, and some of the cider wilted. It's literally spelt like that, just so if you're wondering. It's like out of nowhere. My sad like adaptation of like other languages. This is gonna take me like a week to get through this book. All right. Let's see. He looked at the nag's ear as he said it, and being up to drive of John Fry's way, I knew that it was a lie, and my heart felt like a lump of lead, and I leaned back on the stay of the gate and longed no more to fight anyone. A sort of dull power hung over me like the cloud of a brooding tempest, and I feared to be told anything. I did not even care to stroke the nose of my pony Peggy, although she pushed it in through the rails, where a square of broader lattice is, and sniffed at me, began to crop gently after my fingers, and whatever lives or dies, business must be attended to, and the principal goodness of the good Christians is, beyond all controversy, to fight with one another. Spiced apple cider sounds good right now. I don't know. That apple cider I drank yesterday didn't like me. Not happy about it. Had one cup of it. Damn it. Anyways, the kids are gonna be in the bathroom for like ever because they drank the rest of that gallon. Don't listen to mommy. Oh well. That's what happened. All right, so I'm telling you, that sign will go right through you. All right, so come up, Jack, said one of the boys, lifting me under the chin. He hit you, and you hit him, you know. Pay your debts before you go, said the monitor, striding up to me after hearing how your honor lay. Ridge, you must go through with it. Fight for the sake of your junior first, cried the little fellow in my ear, the clever one, the head of our class who had mocked John Fry and knew all about the heiress, and tried to make me know it. But I never went more than 3 places up, and then it was by accident, and I came down after dinner. The boys were urgent round me to fight, though my stomach was not up for it, and being very slow of wit, which is not chargeable of me. Oops, these pages are so thin. Which was not chargeable on me. I looked from one to other of them, seeking any cure for it. Not that I was afraid of fighting, for now I had been through years at Blundell, and 3 years at Blundell's, and 14 all that time, a fight at least once every week, till the boys began to know me. Only that the load on my heart was not sprightly as of the hayfield. It is a very sad thing to dwell on, but even now, in my time of wisdom, I doubt that it is a fond thing to imagine, and a motherly to insist upon, that boys can do without fighting, unless they be very good boys and afraid of one of another. Nay, I said, my back against the wrought iron stay of the gate, which the socketed into the copse house front. I will not fight thee now, Robin Snell, but wait till I come again tomorrow. Take coward's blow, Jack Rid, then, cried half a dozen little boys, shoved Bob Snell forward to do it, because they all knew well enough, having striven with me ere now, and proved me to be their master. They knew, I say, that without great change, I would never be looking a dull wonderment. Wait, I would never accept that contumely. But I took little heed from them, looking in dull wonderment at John Fry and Smiler and the blunderbuss and Peggy. Mind you, the Peggy is the horse. Okay. John Fry was scratching his head, I could see, and getting blue in the face by the light from the cop's parlor window, and going to and fro upon Smiler, as if he were hard set with it. I guess Smiler is another horse. Not sure. And all the time I was looking briskly from my eye to the fist I was clenching, and methought he tried to wink at me in a covert manner, and then Peggy whisked her tail. Shall I fight, John? I said at last. I would as you had not come, John. Christ will be done. I assume thee had better fight, Jen, he answered, in a whisper, through the gridiron of the gate. There be a deal of fighting avore thee. Best way to begin good time late. Will the great man let me in to thee as thee hast ver play, lad? I have no idea what that just was, and I'm sorry if you don't either. I'm serious. Look at these words. It's literally like spelled out exactly the way I'm trying to say it. Like if you read it yourself, I'm sure you'd probably be like, "What is this?" All right. I know that he's like trying to write it like however the person clearly the other person is from another country. So probably Irish, but um yeah. So yeah. I don't know. He looked doubtfully down to the color of his cowskin boots and the mire upon the horses, for the sloughs were exceedingly mucky. Peggy, the horse, indeed, my sorrel pony, being lighter of weight, was not crusted much over the shoulders. But Smiler, our youngest sledder, okay, so it's a sled horse, had been well in over his withers, and none would have deemed him a piebald, save a red mire and black mire. The great blunderbuss, moreover, was choked with a dollop of slough cake, and John Fry's sad-colored Sunday hat was endued with a plume of marish weed. All this I saw while he was dismounting heavily and warily, lifting his leg from the saddle-cloth as if with sore crick in his back, which I'm sure from riding a horse that long I probably would too. Just saying. Throw my back out. Uh, by this time the question of fighting was gone quite out of our own discretion, for sundry of the elder boys, grave and reverend seigneurs, who had been taken no small pleasure in teaching our hands to fight, to ward, to parry, to feign and counter, and to lunge in the manner of sword play, as the weaker child to drop on one knee when no cunning offence might baffle the onset. These great masters of the art, who would far liefer see us little ones practice it than themselves engage, 6 or 7 of them came running down the rounded causeway, having heard that there were arisen a snug little mill at the gate. Now, whether that word had origin in the Greek term meaning a conflict, or the best read boys aversated, or whether it was nothing more than a figure of similitude, from the beating arms of a mill such as I have seen in the counties where there are no water brooks, but folk made bread with wind, and it is not for man devoid of scholarship to determine enough that they were made the ring entitled the scene of the scene a quote mill, while we who must be thumped inside it try to rejoice in their pleasantry till it turned upon the stomach. Moreover, I felt upon me now the certain responsibility, a dutiful need to maintain, in the presence of John Fry, the manliness of the Ridd family and the honour of Exmoor. Hereunto none of the worst of me, although in threescore battles and bedewed with blood every plant of grass towards the middle of the ironing blocks. And this success I owed at first to no skill of my own, until I came to know better. For up to 20 and 30 fights I struck as nature guided me, no wiser than the fair father Longlegs in the heat of the lanthorn. But I had conquered partly thoroughly through my native strength and the Exmoor toughness in me, and still more I could not see when I had gotten my belly full. But now I was like to have that more, for my heart was drawn to begin with, and then Robert Snell, with a bigger boy than I had ever encountered, and as thick in the skull and hard as the brain as I could ever claim to be. I had never told my mother a word about these frequent strivings, because she was sorry. I'm smoking, drinking whiskey, listening to both you and Christmas music. It's a little early. It's a little early. But do what you gotta do, right? Make one for me. Strivings because she was soft hearted. Neither had I. Oh, and also I have another drink for me. Pour one out for me if you can. You know, in time. Neither had I told my father because he had not seen it. Therefore, beholding me still an innocent looking child, with fair curls on my forehead and no store of bad language, John Fry thought this was very first sight that he had ever had befallen me. First fight that had ever befallen me, and so would they let him in the gate with a message to the headmaster, as one of the monitors told Cop, and Peggy and Smiler were tied to the railings, till, till I should be through my business. John came up to me with tears in his eyes. Don't thee go for it, John. Don't thee don't thee do it for good now. But I told him that I was much too late to cry off. He said, The Lord be with thee, John, and turned thy thumb knuckle inwards. Good notes. It was not a very large piece of ground in the angle of the causeways, but quite big enough to fight upon, especially for the Christians who loved to cheek by jowl at it. And great boys stood in a circle around, being gifted with strong privilege, and the little boys that leave to lie flat and look through the legs of the great boys. And while we were yet preparing for the candles hissed in the fog cloud, old Phoebe, of more than fourscore years, whose room was over the hall porch, came hobbling out as she always did, to mar the joy of the conflict. No one ever heeded her, neither did she expect it, but she but the evil that was the two senior boys must always lose the first round of the fight, by having to lead their home again. A marvel how Robin Snell felt. Very likely he thought nothing of it. Always have been a boy of a hectoring and unruly sort, but I felt my heart go up and down as the boys came round to strip me. And greatly fearing to be beaten, I blew hot upon my knuckles. Then pulled I off the little cut jerkin and laid it down on my head cap, and over that my waistcoat, and a boy that was proud to take care of them, Thomas Hooper was his name, and I remember how he looked at me. My mother had made that little cut jerkin in the quiet winter evenings, and taken pride to looping it up in a fashionable way, and that I was loth to soil it with blood and good fibres that were in the pocket. Then up to me came Robert Snell, mayor of Exeter thrice since lat, and he stood very square and looked at me, and I lacked not long to look at him. Round his waist he had a kerchief, busking up his small clothes, on his feet light pumpkin shoes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You always make me lose my spot. Something about light pumpkin shoes. Okay. And all his upper raiment off, and he danced about in a way that made my head swim on my shoulders. And he took some inches, stood, sorry, and he stood some inches over me. But I, being muddled with much doubt about John Fry and his errand, was only stripped of my jerkin and waistcoat, and not comfortable to begin. Come now, shake hands, cried a big boy, jumping in the joy of the spectacle, a third former 6 feet high. Shake hands, you little devils. Keep your pluck up, and you show good sport, and Lord love to the better man of you. Robin took me by the hand and gazed at me in disdainfully, and then smote me painfully in the face, ere I could get my fence up. What be about it, lad? Said John Fry. Put it again. John, will you? There we go, I got it. Well done, then, our John boy. For I had replied to the Robin now, with all the weight and cadence of the panthymeral. Okay, this is a long one. Panthymeral caesura. Panthymeral caesura. Sounds like something from Harry Potter. Cadence of Panthymeral caesura, a thing the name of which I know, but could never make heed nor tail of. Neither can I. And the strife began with a serious style, and the boys looking on were not cheated. Although I could not collect their shouts when the blows were ringing upon me, I had no great loss, for John Fry told me afterwards that their oaths went up like a furnace fire. But to these To these we paid no heed or hap, being in the thick and swinging and devoid of judgment. All I know is that I came to my corner when the round was over, and very hard pumps in my chest, and a great desire to fall away. Make sure that my chat here. Okay. Thank you, Morris. Time is up, cried head monitor, ere ever I got my breath again, and when I fain I would have lingered a while in the knee of the boy that held me. John Fry had come up, and the boys were laughing because he wanted a stable lantern, and threatened to tell my mother. Time is up, cried another boy, a more headlong head monitor. If we count three before the come of thee, thwack thou art, and must go to the women. I felt it hard upon me. It began to count. 1, 2, 3. But before 3 was out of his mouth, I was facing my foe, with both hands up and the breath going rough and hot, resolved to wait the turn of it. For I had found seat on the knee of a boy sage and skilled to tutor me, who knew how much the end very often differs from the beginning. A rare ripe scholar he was, and now he hath rounded up the Germans in the better of the criticism. Sure the clever boys and men have lost most love towards the stupid ones. You want to learn more? People are probably watching this stream like, what the fuck is this crap? You guys watch crazier stuff than this, okay? At least you're getting some kind of something. You know? Something. But you ain't had nothing like this before. I'm gonna school you boys. You don't even know. You don't even know the half of it. Anyway. It's like 7 books of like 7 chapters already feels like of just this dude fighting. Like and talking about horses and stuff. I don't know. That's why I don't read. I get aggravated. I'm like, alright, get to the point already. Alright. Finish him off, Bob, cried a big boy, and that I noticed especially, because I thought it unkind of him after eating my toffee. I'd be mad too. That he had that afternoon. Finish him off, neck and crop. He deserved it for sticking up for a man like you. And I was not so to be finished off, though feeling in my knuckles now as if I were in the blueness and sense of trembling. Nothing held except my legs, and they were good to help me. So this bout, or round, if you please, was 14 warily by me, and gentle reconciliation of what my tutor, or clever boy, had told me, and some resolve to earn his praise before I came back to his knee again, and never, I think, in all my life sounded sweeter words in my ears, except when my love loved me, than when my second and backer, who had made himself part of my doings now, would have wept to see me beaten, said, Famously done, Jack, famously. Only keep your wind up, Jack, and you'll go right through 'em. I'm just throwing some random, like, I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. I have these voices in my head that sound like things and they're all different, so that's what I imagine it would sound like. Meanwhile, John Fry was prowling about, asking the boys what they thought of it, and whether I was like to be killed, because of my mother's troubles. But finding now that I had 14 threescore fights already, and come up to me woefully in the quickness of my breathing while I sat on the knee of my second, with a piece of a spongeous corline to ease me of my bloodshed, and the says in my ears, as he was clapping spurs into a horse, Never thee knack under, Jan, or never kun nigh hex more no more. I don't know, whatever. Never thee knack under, Jan, and never come nigh hex more no more. Never come near X more no more. Okay, so n- never the knack under Jan, or never come near X more no more. Okay, basically, don't fuck up. Don't fuck up or you can't come back. No, I'm just kidding. That's basically what it says. With that, it was all up with me. A simmering buzz in my heavy brain, and a light came through my eye places. At once I set both fists again, and my heart snuck to me like a clawburer's wax. Either Robin Snell should kill me, or I should conquer Robert Snell. Robin Snell. Kill or be killed. To the death! So I went in again with my courage up, and Bob came smiling for victory. And I hated him for smiling. He let at me with his left hand and I gave him my right between his eyes, and he blinked and was not pleased with it. I feared him not, and I spared him not, neither spared myself. My breath came again, and my heart stood cool, and my eyes struck fire no longer. Only I knew that I would die sooner than shame my birthplace. How the rest of it was, I know not, only that I had the end of it and helped to put Robin to bed. Long time. Long time to answer your question. Oh, that was a long chapter. All right. Lorna Doone, Chapter 3, The Warpath of the Dunes. To answer that question from this morning. Yes. All right. The Warpath of the Dunes. See, I'm like right in the shadow of myself here. From Tiverton town to the town of Orr is a very long and painful road, and in good truth the traveller must make his way, as the saying is, for the way is still unmade, at least on the side of Dulverton, although there is less danger now than in the time of my schooling, for now a good horse may go there with much cost of leaping. But when I was a boy the spurs would fail, when needed most, by reason of the slough kick. It is to the credit of this age that are advanced in fatherly ways, that now have laid down the rods and faggots, and even stump oaks here and there, so that a man in good daylight need not sink, but if he be quite sober. There is nothing I have striven at more than doing my day's duty way warden of ever Exmoor. Interesting. Interesante. For those of you who are multilingual, 3 años en la escuela, pero no comprendo mucho español, lo siento. Or, parlez-vous français? Eh oui, et puis petite. I think that's it. I can't remember. It's been a long time. 21 years. More than that. Probably longer. Probably like 25 years now. Gosh, I'm getting old. All right. Where was I? All right. But in those days when I came from school, and good times they were too, full of warmth and fine hearth comfort, which now are dying out. It was sad and sorry business to find where lay the highway. We are taking now to the mark it off a fence on the either side at least, when a town is handy. But to me it seems of a high pretense, and a sort of landmark and channel for robbers, though well enough near London, where they have earned a race course. We left the town of the two fords, which they say is the meaning of it, very early in the morning after lying one day to rest, as was demanded by the nags, sore of foot and foundered. For my part, too, I was glad to rest, having aches all over me and very heavy bruises. And we lodged at the sign of the White Horse Inn in the street called the Gold Street, opposite where the souls are. Sorry. Hold on one second. In the street called Gold Street, opposite where the souls are of John and Joan Greenway, set up in the gold letters, because we must take the homeward way at cockcrow in the morning, though still John Fry was dry with me of the reason of his coming, and only told lies about father, and would not keep them agreeable. I hoped for the best, as the boys will, especially after a victory, and I thought perhaps father had sent for me because he had good harvest, and the rats were bad in the corn chamber. It was high noon before we got to Dulverton. Yes, interesting. It was high noon before we got to Dulverton that day, near to which the town of the River Exe and the big brother borough have union. My mother had an uncle living there, and we were not to visit his house at this time, as which I was somewhat astonished, since we needs must stop for at least 2 hours to bait our horses through well before coming to the Black Bog way. The the bogs are very good in frost, except where the hot springs rise. As yet there have been no frosts this year, save just enough to make the blackbirds look big in the morning. In the hardy black frost they look small, until the snow falls over them. The road from Bampton to Dulverton had not been very delicate, yet not to complain of much, no deeper, indeed, than the hocks of a horse, except in the rotten places. The day was inclined to be mild and foggy, and both nags sweated freely, but Peggy, carrying little weight, for my wardrobe was upon Smiler, and John Fry grumbled always. He would easily keep in front as far as you may near the laugh, as far as you may hear a laugh. John had been rather bitter with me, which methought was a mark of ill taste at coming home for the holidays. And yet I made allowance for John, because he had never been at school, and would have never would have chanced to eat fry upon conditioning of spelling it. Therefore I rode on, thinking that he was hard set, like a saw, for his dinner, and would soften after tooth work. And yet at his most hungry times, when his mind was far gone upon bacon, certes, he seemed to check himself, and to look at me as if he were sorry for little things coming over great. But now, hey, Master Jane, I hope you're liking the story. It's a little weird, but whatever. It's Lord of Dune from like the 1600s, literally. I'm surprised this book's not falling apart as I'm reading it. I have no idea when it was printed. It was printed in Great Britain, if that tells you anything. So, yeah. Now I forgot where I was. I need one of those little paper thingies. But now at Dulverton we dined upon the rarest and choicest victuals that I ever did taste. Even now, at my time of life, to think of it gives me appetite. At once in a while, to think of my first love makes me love all goodness. Hot mutton pasty was a thing that I had often heard of from very wealthy boys and men who had made dessert of their dinner, and to hear them talk of it made my lips smack and my ribs come inwards. And now John Fry strode into the hostel with the air and grace of a short-legged man, and shouted as loud as if he were calling sheep upon Exmoor. Hot mutton, pasty for two travellers and at number 5, in 5 minutes, dish and up to tin, with the gravy, same as I hardened last Tuesday. Same as I ordered last Tuesday. Of course, it did not come in 5 minutes, nor yet in 10 or 20, but that made it all the better when it came. So the real presence and the smell of it was enough to make an empty man thank God for the room there was inside of him. 50 years had passed me quicker than the taste of that gravy. It is in the manner of all good boys to be careless of apparel, and to take no pride in adornment. Good lack if I see a boy make to do about the fit of his crumpler and the creasing of his breeches, to desire to be showed for coming rather than for use. Communis. I can't read that one. I cannot escape the mark that God took thought, though it make a girl of him. Not so when they grow older, the court and the regard of the maidens. Then may the bravery pass from the inside to the outside of them, and no bigger fools that they are. Even then their fathers were before them. But God forbid any man to be a fool for love, and to be loved, as if I have been. Else would he have prevented it. When the mutton pasty was done, and Peggy and Smiler had dined well also, out I went with the wash of the pump, being a lover of soap and water at all risk except for my dinner, and John Fry, who cared very little to wash save Sabbath days in his own soap, and who had kept me from the pump by threatening loss of the dish. Out he came in a satisfied manner, with a piece of quill in his hand, to lean against the door-post and listen to the horses feeding, and to have his teeth ready for supper. Then a lady's maid came out, and the sun was on her face, and she turned round to go back again, but put a better face upon it, and gave a trip and hitched her dress, and looked at the sun full body, lest the hostlers would laugh and she was losing her complexion. With a long Italian glass in her fingers, very daintily she came up to the pump in the middle of the yard, where I was running the water off all my head and shoulders and arms, and some of my breasts even. And though I had glimpsed her through the sprinkle, it gave me quite a turn to see her, child as I was, in my open aspect. But she looked at me, no whit abashed, making a baby of me, no doubt, as a woman of 30 will do, even with a very big boy when they catch him on a hayrick. She said to me in a brazen manner, as if I had been nobody, while I was shrinking behind the pump and craving to get my shirt on, "Good little boy, come hither to me. Find heaven, I now how blue your eyes are, and skin like snow. But some naughty man has beaten it black. Oh, little boy." What is that face for? You do? You like it, Monster Jam? Awesome sauce. Please tell me what that face is for.
book is making my nose like super itchy. There's like cat hair on it. Where was I? Ooh, what time is it? Oh my god, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. All right, I'll go for 2 full hours, but this is it. Okay, so this is the face of a man who can't decide who Lorna is going to take care of. Hey, give me that. Okay. I gotta find my spot again. Now I'm all messed up. Oh, because I gotta need to turn the page. That's why. Turn the page. Yeah. Poor little boy. Let me feel it. Ah, how then it must have hurt you. I there now, and you shall love me. All this time she was touching my breast here and there very lightly with her delicate fingers, and I understood from her voice and manner that she was not of this country, but a foreigner by extraction. And then I was not so shy of her, because I could talk better English than she, and yet I longed for my jerkin, but not liked to be rude to her. If you please, madam, I must go. John Fry is waiting from my tapster's door, and Peggy neighing to me. If you please, we must get home tonight, and father will be waiting for me this side of the telling house. There, there, you shall go, little dear, and perhaps I will go after you. I have taken much love to you, but the Baroness is hard to me. How far will you call it now to the bank of the sea of the Wash? At the Watchet, likely you mean, madam? Oh, a very long way, and the roads as soft as the road to Ore. Oh, I shall remember. And the place where my little boy lived. Then some day I will come seek for him. And now make the pump to flow, my dear, and give me of the good water. The Baroness will not touch unless a nebule be formed outside the glass. So the good water was like after you pumped it a bunch, because there's like these water wells and they pump them to get the water to come up. And then the first water was like all mucky and stuff, because it's been in the line forever. And so they would pump it, and then it would get really cold and really clear, and that's the good water. You're fine. I don't mind being disrespected. Monster Jam, you like talking to me? I like reading to you guys. I like talking to you too. Okay. I did not know what she meant by that, yet I pumped for her very heartily, and marvelled to see for her 50 times throw the water away in the trough, as if it was not good enough. At last the water suited her, with the likeness of fog outside the glass, and the gleam of crystal under it, and then she made a curtsy to me, in a sort of mocking manner, holding the long glass by the foot, not to take the cloud off. And she wanted to kiss me, but I was out of breath and have always been shy of that work, except when I come to offer it. So I ducked under the pump handle, and she knocked her chin on the knob of it. That would be messed up. If I leaned in to kiss a guy and he like ducked and I hit my face, I'm gonna be mad. You kind of have to worry about somebody else whipping you. I'm gonna do it. Molten Storms, 6 a.m. I'm so good morning, beautiful. How are you? I am doing outstanding. It's 1 a.m. here, and I am reading Lorna Dune, a 1600s story. Get my good water. I only got good water, honey. I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah. All right. Yeah. So she knocked her chin on the knob of it, and the hostlers came out and asked whether they would do as well. Upon this, she retreated upon the yard with a certain dark dignity and a foreign way of walking, which stopped them at once from going any further, because it was so different from the fashion of their sweethearts. One with another they hung back. She was mad, and half a cartload of hay was, and they looked to be sure she would not turn round, and then each one laughed at the rest of them. I would be so mad. Y'all making fun of me. You missed what? Oh, Lorna Dune. Lorna Dune? I don't know if you can see it. Lorna Dune. And this book is so old. Like, the pages are gold. You see that? And they're like super thin. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Bible pages, but that's what they're like. And this is literally a leather back. This is leather. So, it's old. It was printed in Great Britain. Yeah, old. I found it on a shelf, on a bookshelf in the house somewhere. This is how like random stuff we find here. Yeah. So if you don't understand the words that are coming from it, neither do I. So don't feel bad. I'm lucky to read it. Half of it's in another language. Another half of it's written out like as if someone's speaking in another language. It's funny. I don't know. Talking about fighting and horses and ducking away from women's kisses, so this way they smack their face on a water pump knob. Evil kids. Anyway, he's like 50 and she's 30 and they're kids. I don't know. I don't know. That's what I've got from it so far. All right. Now up to the end of Dulverton town on the northward side of it, where the two new pigsties be, the Oran folk of the Watchet folk must trudge on to another together, until we come to a broken cross where the murdered man lies buried. Peggy and Smiler, which are horses, the horses, um, went up the hill as if nothing could be too much for them. After the beans they had eaten and suddenly turned a corner of the trees, we happened upon a great coach and 6 horses laboring very heavily. John Fry rode on with his hat on his head, on his hand, and became as became him towards the quality. But I was amazed to that degree that I left my cap on my head and drew bridle without knowing it. For in the front seat of the coach, which was halfway open, being of new city make, and the day in want of air, sate a foreign lady, who had met me at the pump and offered to salute me. By her side was a little girl, dark-haired and very wonderful, with a wealthy softness on her, as if she had her own way. I could not look at her for 2 glances, and she did not look at me for one. Being such a little child and busy in the hedges, in honourable place sate a handsome lady, very warmly dressed and sweetly delicate of colour, and close to her was a lively child, 2, maybe 3 years old, bearing a white cockade as a hat, and staring at all and everybody. Now he saw Peggy in such a liking to her that the lady his mother, if so she were, was forced to look at my pony and me. And to tell the truth, although I am not one who is adored of the high folk, she looked at us very kindly, and with the sweetness rarely found in women who milk the cows for us. Maybe. To answer your question. Monster Jam, get some rest. You're gonna need it. Are you at school tomorrow? Or class? I shouldn't say school. Class. You have class tomorrow? Okay. Well, I hope you have good rest and get some sleep because you're gonna need it for class tomorrow. Listen to me sounding all motherly and shit. Sitting here in my lingerie reading you a story from the 1600s. Go to bed. See you in the morning? I will. I will see you in the morning. Thank you. I will see you before class. Get some sleep. I'm only staying on for about another 30 minutes or so. And God knows this is going to take a while. Have a good night. All right. Okay. Here we go. I got it. All right. Sorry. And so, to tell the truth, although I am not one of those who adore the high folk, she looked at us very kindly with a sweetness rarely found in women who milk the cows for us. Then I took off my cap to the beautiful lady without asking wherefore, and she put up her hand and kissed it to me, thinking perhaps that I had looked like a gentle and good little boy. For folks always called me innocent, though God knows I never was that. There's plenty of guys out there like that, and women, and whatever else you identify as. But now the foreign lady, or lady's maid as it may be, who had been busy with little dark eyes turned upon all us going on, and looked me straight in the face. I was about to salute her at a distance, indeed, and not with the nicety she had offered me, but strange to say, she stared at my eyes as if she had never seen me before, neither wished to see me again. At this I was so startled, such things being out of my knowledge, that I startled Peggy also with the muscle of my legs. She, being fresh from stable and mire, scraped off with the cask hoop, broke away so suddenly that I could do no more than to turn round, lower my cap, now 5 months old, to the beautiful lady. Soon I overtook John Fry and asked him all about it, and how it was that we had missed their starting from the hostel. But John would never talk much till after the gallon of cider, and all that I could win out of him was that they were murdering Papshires, and little he cared to do with them, or the devil as they came from. And the good thing for me was a providence in that I had gone down to Dulverton town to buy sweet stuff for Annie, else my stupid head would have gone astray to their great outcoming. We saw no of we saw no more of them after that, but turned into the side way as soon as they had fill of our hands and our eyes to look upon our own going. For the road had got worse and worse until there was none at all, and perhaps the purest thing of it could do was to be ashamed to show itself. But we pushed on the best we might, in doubt of reaching a home any time, except by special grace of God. The fog came down upon the moors as thick as ever I saw it, and there was no sound of any sort, nor a breath of wind to guide us. A little stubby trees to stand here and there like bushes in the wooden leg to them. There drizzled a mess of wet and hung their points of dropping. Wherever the butt end of a hedgerow came up to the hollow ground like the withers of a horse, holes of splash were pocked and pimpled into the yellow sand of conies, or under the dwarf trees ovens. But soon it was too dark to see that, or anything else I might say, except the creases of the dusk where the prison light crept up the valleys. Yes. Night, Monster Jam. After a while that I was gone, no other comfort left us except to see our horses' head jogging to their footsteps, and the dark ground pass below, lighter where the wet was, and then splash, foot under foot, more clever than we can do it, and the orderly jack of the tail and the smell of what a horse is. Okay. It's a nice way of saying it. Oh. John Fry was bowing forward with sleep upon his saddle, and now I could no longer see the frizzle of wet upon his beard, for he had a very brave one of a bright red color, and trimmed into a whale oil knot, because he was newly married. Although that comb of hair had been a subject of some wonder to me, whether I, in God's good time, should have the like of that, handsomely set with shining beads, small above and large below, from the weepings of the heavens. But still I could see the jog of his hat, a Sunday hat with a top to it, and some of his shoulder bowed out in the mist, so that one could say, "Hold up, John," when Smiler put his foot in. "Mercy of God, where's be now?" said John Fry, suddenly waking. "I us ought to have passed Old Hush. John, seen it on the road, have ye?" "No, indeed, John. No old ash, nor anything else of my knowing, nor heard anything save these snoring." That would be me. The smell of wet horses. Ah, invigorating. I'm sorry, but just some of like the specifics of this book is like okay, very descriptive. Right. I did turn the page, didn't I? I don't remember. The mire scraped off the cask hoop, broke away suddenly. To nope. Ah, here we go. Okay. No, indeed, John. No old ash. Nothing else to my knowing, nor heard anything save these snoring. What of you? What of you? The must be then. What of you must be then, Jan? And me, my'll know better. Hearken, lad, hearken. And me, my'll know better. My'll, maytell. Okay. And me, my'll know better. Hearken, lad, hearken. We drew our horses up and listened through the thickness of air, and with the hands laid to our ears. At first there was nothing to hear except the panting of the horses and the trickle of the evening drops from our head covers and clothing, and the soft sounds of a lonely night that made us feel and try not to think. Then there came a mellow noise, very low and mournsome, not a sound to be afraid of, but too long to know the meaning, with the soft rise of the hair. 3 times it came and went again, and the shaking of a thread might pass away into the distance. But then I touched John Fry to know that there was something near me. "Don't you be a fool, John. Play music I ever hear. God bless him and made him do it." "Have they hanged one of the Dunes then, John?" "Hush, lad, never talk like or thicky. Hang a Dune, and God knoweth, the king would hang pretty quick if her did." "Then who is it in the chains, John?" I felt my spirit rise as I asked, for now I had crossed Exmoor so often as to hope that the people sometimes deserved it, and to think that it might be a lesson to the rogues who unjustly loved the mutton that they were never born to. But, of course, they were born to hang in, and one set themselves so high. "It'd be a nobody," said John, "for for us to make a fush about belong to nother side the moor, and come stolen shape to our side. Red Jim Hannaford, his name. Thank God for him to be hanged, lad, and good cess to his soul, for cranked so." So the sound of the quiet swinging led us very modestly. Really now? Really? I don't know if I like this book anymore. As it came and went into the wind, loud and low, pretty regularly, even as far as the foot in the gibbet where the four cross ways are. Vamon's job is here, said John, and went on the wind and loud and pretty and low regularly, even as far as the foot in the gibbet where the four crossways are. Famous John is here, this here, cried John, looking up to be sure of it, because there were so many. Here be my own Nick the post, Red Jem too, and no doubt unto him. He do hang so handsomely like, and his ribs so like a horse than most. God bless him for discovering the way to make a rogue so useful. Good night to thee, Jen, my lad, and not break the jams in the crekin. John Fry took his bridle arm and smote upon his smiler merrily, as he jogged into the homeward track from the guiding of the body. And I was sorry for Red Jem, and wanted to know more about him, and whether he might have avoided this miserable end, and what his wife and children thought of it, indeed, he had any. But John would talk no more about it, and perhaps he moved to a lonesome feeling as the creaking sound came after us. Hold thee tongue, lad, he said sharply. Us be neither Dune trek now, 2 mile from the Dunkery Bacon Hill, and highest place of the Exmoor. So happen they be abroad tonight, us may crawl upon a belly places, boy. I knew at once that he meant these bloody dunes of Bagworthy are all of all Devon and Somerset outlaws, traitors, and murderers. My little legs began to tremble to and fro upon Peggy's sides, as I heard the dead robber in the chains behind us, and thought of the live ones still in front. Yep. But John, I whispered wearily, sliding close to Saddlebow, dear John, don't you think that they will see us in such a fog as this? Never God made a fog as could stop our eyes seen, he whispered in an answer, fearfully. Here us be by the hollow ground. Sober lad, go sober now, if thee wish to see thy mother. For I was inclined, in the manner of boys, to make such a run of danger, and to cross the dune track at full speed, to rush for it and be done with it. But even then I wondered why he talked of my mother so, and said not a word of my father. Bring it. Let's see. Okay. I wonder why he talked of my mother so and said not a word of my father. We were come to a long, deep goyle, as they call it in Exmoor, a word for whose mountain and origins I had nothing to do with. Only I know that when little boys laughed at me in the Tiverton for talking about the goyle, a big boy clouded them in the head, and said that it was in Omer, and meant that the hollow was offhand. And another time a Welshman told me that it must be something like the thing that they call pant in those parts. Still I know still I know what it means well enough, to wit, along tro along through among wild hills, falling towards the plain country, rounding at the bottom, perhaps, and stiff, more than steep at the sides of it. Whether it's straight or crooked makes no difference to it. We rode carefully down the other side and through the soft grass at the bottom, and all while we listened to the air, as if the air was speaking trumpet. Then gladly we breasted our nags to the rise, and were coming to comb a bit. Then I heard something that caught John's arm, and he bent his hand to the shape of his ear. It was the sound of horses' feet knocking up through the splashy ground as if the bottom sucked them up, and then the grunting of the weary men and the lifting noise of stirrups and sometimes a clank of iron mixed in with the wheezy croning of leather and the blowing of hairy nostrils. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to find out. We'll see. Maybe a challenge. God's sake, Jack, slip round her belly and let her go where she will. As John Fry whispered, so did I. And he was off Smiler by this time, but our two paths were too fogged to go far, and began to nose about and crop, sniffing more than they had need to have done. I crept to John's side very softly, with the bridle on my arm. Let go the bridle, let go, lad. Praise God they take them first pound, these, or they'll send a bullet through us. Bullet. When were bullets first invented? Because this was in 1600s. So I don't know. In London. I don't know. I have no knowledge of such. Although I should, because I do like guns and I like ammo. So I guess I should know these things. I saw what he meant and let go of the bridle, for now the mist was rolling off and we were against the skyline to the dark cavalcade below us. John lay in the ground by a burrow of heather, and where the little gullet was I crept to him, afraid of the noise I had made by dragging my legs along, and the creak of my cord breeches. John bleated like a sheep to cover it, a sheep very cold and trembling. Then, just as a foremost horseman passed, scarce 20 yards below us, a puff of wind came up upon the glen, and the fog rolled off before it. And suddenly a strong red light, cast by the cloud weight downwards, spread like fingers over the moorland, opened the valleys of darkness, and hung on the steel of the riders. So sunset, really. I'm gonna get some weird disease from this book. I know it now, like some black plague nonsense. As if I mean, there's you know, COVID pandemic, whatever. But this is like some old shit. So I don't know, and it's from London. Oh, my back is killing me. Let me see if I can find a pillow. Oh, Lord. Okay. Donkery Beacon, whispered John, so close to my ear that I felt his lips and teeth a shake. Durst fire it now except to show the Dunes a way home again. Since then he might, as they went up, and throw the winchman atop it. Why would we about John? Oh, lad, God's sake. For I could keep still no longer, but wriggling away from his arm and along the little gullet, still going flat on my breast and thigh until I was under a grey patch of stone. With a fringe of dry fern around it, there I lay, scarce 20 feet above the heads of the riders, and I feared to draw my breath, though prone to do it with wonder. For now the beacon was rushing up in a fiery storm to heaven, and the form of its flame came and went in the folds, and a heavy sky was hovering. All around it hung with red, deep in twisted columns, and then a giant beard of fire had steamed throughout the darkness. The sullen hills were flanked with light, and the valleys chained with a shadow, and the sombrous moors between awoke in furrowed anger.
But most of all the flinging fire leapt to the rocky mouth of the glen below me, where the horsemen passed in silence, scarcely deigning to look around. Heavy men and large of stature, reckless how they bore their guns, or how they sate their horses, with lantern jerkins and long boots, iron plates on their breast and head, plunder heaped behind their saddles, and flagons slung in front of them. I counted more than 30 pass, like clouds upon red sunset. Some had carcasses of sheep swinging with their skins on, others had deer, and one had a child slung across his saddle bow. Whether the child was dead or alive was more than I could tell, only it hung head downwards there and must take a chance of it, that they that had got the child, and very young one, for the sake of the dress, no doubt, for which she could not stop to pull from it, for the dress shone bright, and the fire struck it as if with gold and jewels. I longed in my heart to know which most sadly was what they would do with the little thing. I have about had it with this internet. So do I. Small thanks to thee, John, as my new wife went a widow. And who be you to support of her, and her son if she have one? Starve thee, right, as it was I was to chuck thee down into the Dune track. Same will thee come to you, and sooner or later, and this be the simple way of thee. And that was all that he had to say, instead of thanking God. For if ever born man was in fright and ready to thank God for anything, it was the name of John Fry not more than 5 minutes agone. However, all right, 5 more minutes. So maybe the end of this chapter, because Lord knows it's long, and I'm tired. It's 1:30 in the morning, and my back is killing me. I need to lay down. All that working out today really worked me out. All right. However, I answered nothing at all, except to be ashamed of myself, and soon we found Peggy and Smiler in company, well embarked on the homeward road, and victually where the grass was good. Right glad they were to see us again, not for the pleasure of carrying, but because a horse, like a woman, lacks, and is better without self reliance. I'm going to scratch that entire sentence from this book. What do they know? 1600ers. What even generation would that be? Because, like, I think we're coming up to, like, Generation A. How weird is that? Right? I think I'm part of, like, the millennial generation. Or, like, not Gen Z. Gen X, maybe? Yeah. I don't know. Something. I'm old. Not a boomer. Not a boomer. But I am getting up there. So, yeah. Really? Let's see. Okay. However, I answered nothing at all. I'm glad to see us again. And self-reliance. My father name never came to meet us at either side of the telling house, neither at the cricket post nor even at the home linny, although the dogs kept much noise that he must have heard us. Home side of the linny, and under the ashen hedgerow, where father taught me to catch blackbirds, all at once my heart went down, and all my breast was hollow. There was not even the lantern light on the peg against the cow's house, and nobody said, "Hold your nose" to the dogs, or shouted, "Here our Jack is." I looked to the posts at the gate in the dark because they were tall, like father, and then at the door of the harness room where he used to smoke his pipe and sing, when I thought he had guests, perhaps, people lost upon the moors, whom he could not leave unkindly, even for his son's sake. And yet about that I was jealous, and I was ready to be vexed with him, when he should begin to make much of me. And I felt in my pocket for the new pipe which I had brought him from Tiverton, and said to myself, "He shall not have it until tomorrow morning." Woe is me! I cannot tell. How I knew, I know not now, only that I slunk away, without a tear or thought. I wonder who was the last person to actually read this book. Alright, 2 minutes. Without a thought of weeping, and hid me in a saw pit. There the timber overhead came like a streak across me, and all I wanted was to lack, and to none to tell me anything. By and by a noise came down, as a woman's weeping, and there my mother and sister were, choking and holding together. Although they were my dearest loves, I could not bear to look upon them, until they seemed to want my help, and put their hands before their eyes. I think I already know. I'm sad. I'm kind of sad because the guy just like rode a horse for like ever, right? Finally got something to eat. Finally chilled out with some chick, and then like went through the morrows, like these bogs. Almost got caught by the cops or whatever they were, the dunes, and that had a kid on their horse, like a whatever, like they're gonna eat it. That like tripped me out for a second. I was like, wait, what? Yes, really? Okay. But yeah, that I don't know. I'm gonna put a little bookmark in. I don't know. I guess I might. I don't know what I'm gonna use either. What am I gonna use? Oh my god. I am so tired right now. What am I gonna use as a bookmark? You know, I saw this thing once that if you used a dollar bill instead of a bookmark, it was cheaper than a bookmark. So people just put dollar. I'd be putting dollar bills in the books, like even like paper towel piece. Like a sheet of paper towel is cheaper than a bookmark. I mean, whatever. I don't know. I mean, it depends on what country you're from. Is how you say hello. All right. I think I got some kind of like piece of something on my skin here. I don't know. What am I going to use for a bookmark? This is aggravating now. And I don't want to mess up the pages because the pages are pretty. And I like licked my finger like reading a regular book, and I was like, let me not do that. Let me not do that. This is an old book. I'm trying not to bend it back too much, but I'll be honest with you, I'm bending it backwards like pretty far. Because you gotta pull the pages because they're like the nook of like the centerpiece. It doesn't look like it's been read. Like the nook of the centerpiece is really close, so it's hard. So you have to like press and hold. So you have to like pull the book apart. That's how like I don't know how unread. It's called The States Full. That's horrible. Don't say that. No. I mean, you're not wrong. Probably. I don't know. That is not how I would say hello. I mean, I may look like I might do that, but not really. No. In reality, I'm very different. So, all right. I almost just read another chapter. Let me see. I don't know what to use. Oh my goodness. All right. So, all right. I'm just going to use this envelope. So, tomorrow, part 2 of the never-ending trilogy, I guess. Not a trilogy, but the never-ending book. I'm only on page 30 of 600 and this is why I don't read. 640. This is going to take a long time. A long time to read. So, we'll get to chapter 4 of Lorna Dune. I guess tomorrow night. I don't know. What do you guys want? I want to get to the good parts. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure to answer that question. I don't know if I can handle that. All right. I don't really want to use this envelope because I'm afraid it's going to like leave a crease in the paper. All right, whatever. Chapter 4. We'll just leave it at that. I already closed the book. Chapter 4, and I'll make a note of it. Whatever. Somewhere. One of these books. What did I do with the third one? Oh. You know what? I've been sitting here with these glasses on. Ow. Yeah. I'm sitting here with these glasses on. And I can read with them, and that's fine. But, like, seeing with them on, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Alright. So, chapter 4 of Lorna Dune on the next bedtime story. And I left it as 18 plus because of the fact that I wasn't sure if it was gonna get into, like, the sex scenes really early. Clearly, it's not. This guy is very winded. Sounds a lot like me. But yeah, chapter 4, Lorna Dune. Next reading. Hope you guys enjoyed it so far. And if you haven't heard, make sure to check out this video. I try my best to read these books. A lot of them have different languages in them. Oh, not a lot of them, but this one does. My nose is so itchy now. Alright, please. Hope y'all are having a good night. Thank you for joining me. Alright, so next reading session, which will be tomorrow, Thursday. Tomorrow during the day, we'll be at Lake Mountain Coffee playing board games. And then I was trying to think. Next Wednesday, I definitely want to go to the gym during the day. So instead of at night, because today was just a mess. So workout Wednesday for next Wednesday will be at 10 a.m. instead of 5. Hopefully, it'll be less packed, and that way I can you do full body view instead of just my head. That was crazy. And so yeah, so tomorrow we'll do the board game stuff, and then Friday I'm gonna walk downtown through the distillery, so that should be fun. I don't know, just try to keep it interesting and light for everybody. Hopefully you enjoy it. Slow down Saturday night. I'll be in Mebane, and if you guys have any ideas for anything else that you'd like to see, let me know. If you are in a band or if you do anything creative at all, uh, definitely let me know, and I'll be more than happy to have you as a guest on my show. Okay. It is 1:46 in the morning here. I don't know what time it is wherever y'all are, but yeah, mommy's ready for bed. So I hope you guys join me. This was definitely a bonus reading, and I hope you guys join me tomorrow. I am live 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's in the United States, typically every day. And then I am also live on bonus readings or bonus streams, random. I have no idea what else to do with that. So I hope you had a good night. I hope you enjoyed the first 4 chapters of Lorna Dune. It's supposed to be a romance novel. I don't know. It seems to be a little boring at first. I don't know. For guys, it's like fighting and, long treks on horses and, like, I don't know. I don't know. Chapter 4 of Lorna Dune. And maybe next Tuesday, I will look up the Lorna Dune cookie recipe and I will add it to my Tasty Tuesday. To go along with the theme. And I might read it in a milkmaid outfit. You never know. So yeah. All right. If you guys would like to send me something, feel free to mail me at my PO Box 5923, Statesville, North Carolina 28687. And check out my other social media: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, OnlyFans, Fat Life, Twitter, Twitch, Discord, Pinterest, and some other stuff, but I can't remember. So yeah. All right. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to catch you next time. Have a wonderful evening. And I am about to get very, 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 very super comfy in my bed, in my heated blanket, and get some much needed rest. Because life. All right. Y'all have a good evening. And until next time, catch you on the flip side. Good night.